Hi, my name is Drew Jones of Drew's Guitar Shop in Seattle, Washington, and today I'm doing a video showing off this little Norman that I just got done working on. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with Norman, this is an acoustic guitar brand that's produced by Godin or LePetri, depending on how you call that company in Canada. They produce LePetri classical guitars, they produce Art Lutherie, they produce these guys. Godin guitars, obviously, a few other brands that are kind of floating around out there. But by and large, their products are really good. In particular, they've been really known for building some, pretty nice basses, and, their acoustic guitars are just stellar for the price. Like, this is the same company that produces Seagull. And Seagull guitars are just really, really great guitars. If you've ever had a chance to sit down and play them, they're just really nice. So let's go ahead and kind of talk about this guitar for a second. This is a cool guitar because it has it's built by a nice company, but it also has a couple of really neat features about it that I kind of like. The first is that it has a bolt-on neck. When this guitar came in, it needed a neck reset, and this is actually why it ended up here as a store stock guitar here, because the customer didn't want to deal with it, and we ended up kind of working on a train arrangement, and I ended up taking the guitar, doing the neck reset on it, and doing everything else. But neck resets on bolt-on guitars like your Taylors and Collings and some other models out there, some other companies out there, they're so much cheaper and easier to do and less invasive than the steaming the dovetail out kind of thing that you have to do with like Martins. Just makes maintenance down the road a lot cheaper, which is just really nice. It's also got good hardware, and I just really like the choices of wood here. We've got a really nice cut of what to me looks like Engelmann spruce here on the top. It's got a lot of silking in it. It's got a really tight grain, and it just has great tone. The back and sides, I haven't quite been able to figure out what this wood is. It looks like it might be somebody told me that they oftentimes will use a thing called white cherry, which is apparently a thing that they have in Canada. But Art Lutherie and kind of Godin's acoustic guitars in general have been kind of known to use weird materials like ash and cherry and things that we wouldn't normally consider when we consider guitar building. This is kind of a thing with North American guitars in particular, because you wouldn't normally see guitars built out of like oak until, United States started building guitars back in the day, and same thing with like walnut. So alternative materials aren't a bad thing by any means, and in fact they usually kind of create a kind of a unique sound, which I think is kind of the case with this guy here. It sounds like nothing I've played before, and that's really cool to me because I play a lot of guitars, so something that sounds unique to me is something that really stands out. So yeah, in terms of the build quality, material quality, no complaints. Rosewood fretboard, looks like a maple neck on this guy, and rosewood heel cap, and whatever these sides and back are made out of. Plus that spruce top, just very, very good material. It's also bridge is made out of Indian rosewood. So already we're talking about a pretty nice guitar. Let's go ahead and talk about everything that was done to this guitar here, though, that kind of put it a step above what you might find just kind of laying around on, Reverb or Craigslist or wherever. So first of all, I mentioned that this got a neck reset when it came in. What that tells me is that most of the models around the same age of this same guitar are likely also going to need neck resets, and if that hasn't been done, that's like a $250 procedure, just to let you guys know. So if you're looking at one of these guitars that's not this one, take a look at the neck angle, see if they've got a picture of the string height on it, and the bridge height, and I've got a video that I'll see if I can remember to post down below about how to kind of tell if a guitar needs a neck reset. But that's a really good thing to try and avoid, whether you get this one or another one that hasn't already had a neck reset done or whatever. Also went ahead and did a custom nut for this guitar. The nuts that I carved for acoustic 3x3 headstocks, well, really all of all of the nuts that I carve here have very carefully sculpted string slots in them to cut down on string friction. Most tuning problems, tuning instability problems, are not in fact caused by like the tuners on the guitar, but they're usually more often caused by the nut, where the strings have to all kind of go through and pinch. And you know, on 3x3 headstocks, they've got to go through and they've got to go make this arc down, and then they've got to make this arc, you know, kind of over towards the tuner. And so there's a lot of little angles there to consider. And so I want to carve these so that they're nice and curved, and then go inside and really polish them out so that they're nice and smooth. I have a hard time getting graphite to stick to these string slots by the time I'm done, and that's exactly where I want to be. I want to be in a position where the lubricants that people otherwise would put down to kind of smooth things out, like, are, you know, the slot is too slippery to even take that. So the string definitely isn't going to be sticking to that. I also went through and just did a level crown and polish on the frets. This is just kind of a matter of course thing that I do to all the guitars that I sell, just because there's usually fret wear on these instruments when I get them in, and I don't want that fret wear on the instrument when it goes out. The other thing too is just that, like, I'm very picky about frets. I've done a lot of fret jobs over the years, and to me, I want everything that goes out of the shop to be very cherry. And so, you know, if there's, you know, one little tiny raised fret, maybe it isn't even causing a problem, I want to go in and I want to correct that, just because my own kind of craziness dictates that I go in and fix those types of things. The other thing that I went ahead and did was carve a custom bone saddle for this guitar. It didn't have a bad nut and saddle in it to begin with. They were new bone, which is a fairly nice, you know, plastic space age, you know, tone plastic thing from Graphtec or whatever. But bone always is going to sound better. You're going to get more range in the tone that the instrument is going to produce, a little bit more headroom and a little bit more sparkle. So that's what I was going for here. And to that end, I also replaced the bridge pins in here, which were plastic, like cheap, you know, ABS plastic, with some nice custom fit bone bridge pins. So each one of these pins has been individually reamed, you know, for this hole that it's in. So each of these has a really nice, snug, tight fit that's going to really help transfer a lot of energy back into the bridge, back into the braces. Same thing with the saddle. That's a nice tight fit as well. And so, you know, really, like, this has gotten treatment that, you know, just about any high-end guitar would get as it comes into my shop, whether it's like a Martin or a Collings or like a, you know, high-end Taylor or anything like that. So all the hardware on here is top-notch in terms of, like, you know, what you're going to find. And that's not going to be standard on these guys. That's something that was added here. So this guitar has it. If you find one of these guitars that has like a bone nut or whatever like that, just so you know, that was put on after. These typically come with plastic hardware. So I love the tone of this thing. I absolutely love the sound. I was able to, after doing the neck reset and everything, to get a really, really nice, low, comfortable action with, you know, exactly the proper neck relief in here. So the truss rod has also been adjusted, and, you know, the nut has been carved down, you know, to where it's supposed to be, to give you really nice low action up here at the nut for, you know, first position cowboy chords and everything. It's just a very, very comfortable guitar to play. The neck profile is kind of interesting on this guitar. I've kind of become like a neck profile, you know, I guess aficionado, or whatever you kind of call that. This neck profile actually kind of changes as it goes up and down, and like that's kind of strange, but at the same time, I don't know if I have any complaints about it, because down here it's got more of like kind of a D shape with kind of the edges of the fretboard being kind of more straight. And then as you move up towards the nut, it's got a much rounder sort of like, you know, kind of more pronounced D shape, or more pronounced, like a U shape almost, something a little bit deeper. You know, thinking about it, like, you know, I guess if I were going to carve a custom neck that had like a difference kind of going up the back of the neck, kind of in the same way that you would do a compound radius or something on the fretboard, you know, this isn't a bad choice, because, you know, up here you do kind of want that rounder kind of shape to the head, to the back of the neck, because you're typically up here kind of doing open chords and stuff, and just those rounder necks with just a little bit more meat on them tend to be, you know, a little bit better for kind of moving around. So it's not like super thin like an Ibanez electric neck, but it's also not terribly thick. So it's not like a baseball bat Louisville Slugger kind of neck. It's just kind of just right. And then moving down, you know, you have this kind of faster shape with that more low profile D, but you know, you still have that kind of thickness as it goes down. So like, you know, when you're down here, you're typically doing bar chords and you're kind of wanting to move around a little bit, and that's kind of a little bit more conducive to a little bit of speed with doing that. So yeah, I can't argue with the shape here at all. I think that it's probably a good idea to do what they did. You know, and as far as anything else goes, it's a standard dreadnought shape, which, like, you know, completely classic. Can't argue with that at all. It's got lots of volume, lots of headroom. It's got all the bass, all the treble that you could possibly want. It's just a really well-balanced guitar, just like, you know, dreadnoughts typically are. You know, and it's been helped along with the modifications in terms of the bone hardware and the setup and everything. To give you full disclosure in terms of other stuff that was done to this guitar when it came in, the bridge was peeling up, which may also be a problem that these guitars are just kind of prone to. I don't know. This guitar also had been kind of treated poorly in a very specific way that I think led to this bridge coming up. The bridge was glued down, and you know, all the work that I do here is guaranteed, so if that ever came up on a customer again, I just go ahead and reglue it, but I don't get bridge reglues back here after I do them, so I'm not worried about it. And it also had a couple of cracks in the top, so there was a pretty long crack that went up here. Again, this guitar was treated poorly in kind of a very specific way. And you know, both of those things I kind of feel were kind of a result of it. But the crack has been fixed, and it actually fixed really well. You know, if I wouldn't have told you that crack was in there, you probably wouldn't even been able to see the repair. And there's just a little tiny line, and it's been cleated behind and everything. So, you know, it's not going to be reopening anytime soon. But yeah, that's kind of the lowdown on this. And for those of you who just want to kind of know the number and all that stuff that you may want to look up, this is a Norman B20 CWHG. And the model number there that's probably pertinent is the B20. The serial number on this guitar is 02104022. So, you know, if you wanted to look that up on Godin's, you know, database and figure out when it was produced, that's how you would go about doing it. I think that this guitar is probably from the 2000s or late 90s, probably more likely the 2000s, but who knows? It also kind of sat in the closet for a while, so maybe looks really good for being a 90s guitar. So anyway, so this guitar is for sale. If you look down into the description of this video, you're going to find a link to the Reverb page where this guitar is listed. If this guitar is still for sale, that listing will be active. If that link is not going to an active listing, this particular guitar has sold. I sell a lot of guitars here, so if you liked this one and you liked the work that was done to it, that work is pretty typically done to most everything that I sell here. And so if you're looking for something like that, give me a call. I might have something up for sale that is similar to this. And I also have a link down there to my website where I have my contact information and my information on doing repair work, which is kind of my primary business here. My usual YouTube videos here generally feature like tips, tricks, advice, and stuff like that for players. So if that's the kind of thing that you think might be your jam and you want to check that out, there's probably a lot of videos in there that might be of interest to you. And if those videos are of interest to you, you know, this is an advertisement, so I don't expect that anybody want to throw me a tip for this, but like there also is a link to my Ko-Fi and my Patreon down there if you feel like kicking me a few bucks. I'm also willing to sit with people and really walk them through problems if they message me through Ko-Fi and Patreon. That's kind of a service that I offer through those two places. And so if you have an issue that you want to call me about, something, you know, kind of related to a guitar or whatever it is that you're working on, that's how you can get a hold of me best. I also have, you know, links down there to my reverb page in general. You can check out all the other stuff that I have for sale. And, you know, obviously check out all the other videos, like, subscribe, all that jazz, link around to your friends. And you know, if you liked this guitar and you wanted to think about it, or you're in Seattle and you want to swing by and come and play it, just, you know, give me a shout and we'll arrange a time. This is a by appointment shop, and you know, I'm happy to set those appointments up for anybody that's interested in coming and take a look at these instruments. I don't charge anything for people who want to just come by and, you know, have me take a look at something, or, you know, they want to try out a guitar here. So anyway, that's this Norman B20. It's a really cool guitar, really like it. I think that it's a solid instrument for somebody who's an experienced player, or somebody who's, you know, looking for kind of a, you know, a good quality tone beater that they can kind of drag to gigs and stuff. Something that maybe doesn't have the same name recognition and therefore theft value as like a Martin, but something that kind of has the same kind of build quality as a higher end instrument. That's you know, would be a really good choice, this guitar here. Yeah, and as far as like anything else, it's just got great playability, great tone, takes a great setup. It's a really cool guitar. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and play you out. Thanks for watching, and yeah, keep on rocking.